A hobby is only as strong as its members. And sadly, as recently seen in the New Forest, without active members, letterboxing scenes can fizzle out. Letterboxing lives by give and take, people citing, maintaining and retiring boxes responsibly, as well as finding them to keep a healthy circular economy. It's a case of doing one's bit, quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. A social harmony that keeps the ship steadily chugging on come what may. And I'm certain this isn't the first time someone's made the link between the longevity of letterboxing and the proficiency of its members. In each generation, boxers have set the treasure for their peers to seek, and many have gone above and beyond, pushing the game on with inventive new ways to challenge players, and even thought of ways to keep the game alive when Dartmoor was closed to the public due to outbreaks of foot and mouth disease and COVID-19. Others have drawn on other skill sets to build understanding in players and instill a standard of knowledge and nuance developed over decades, and to prevent this wisdom from becoming lost. Books I've found so far that tell and teach on the Dartmoor letterboxing scene include Tom Gant's Discover Dartmoor, of course Anne Swinscoe's trilogy, Cranmere Pool The First Dartmoor Letterbox by Chips Barber, Dartmoor Letterboxing, A Guide for Beginners by Kevin Wheel, and Let's Go Letterboxing, A Beginner's Guide by Janet Palmer. Wider resources include articles by Anne Swinscoe in the early editions of Dartmoor magazine, multiple mentions in Tim Sandal's brilliant online archive of researched articles on his website Legendary Dartmoor, a decade of incredibly insightful blogs by a mystery boxer by the alias of Who is the Challenger, who made reports on his box ventures all through the teenies and who I hope is open to meeting one day. More recently, there's been the odd letterboxing episode by YouTubers George from the Dartmoor podcast and Dave of Dave Does Hiking, who are both journeying to the 100 Club, and of course the odd ratty proj churned out by yours truly. In recent years have also been 3 local student projects exploring or tied to Dartmoor letterboxing, including a photography project called Quest by Sean Chambers, Jamie England's Pigeon Passport that trailed and taught the history of Plymouth's pigeons, and most recently a short documentary and book of prose both named Where the Hand of Man Hath Never Trod by Oscar Fox. And that's not all, because in the near future Dartmoor letterboxing is to play a central role in an independent British folk horror film called The Medusa Box, whose extras are quite easy on the eye. The Dartmoor podcast did an episode on it, which is well worth your time. I hope you made a list of all that. There's quite a wad of info out there on Dartmoor letterboxing, and even though a new book hasn't been written in over 20 years, info seems to be coming through in more modern mediums, so perhaps the future's looking pretty good. Maybe if the Boogie Boys could make a TikTok dance or two, we'd really thrive. Looking beyond the bounds of Dartmoor now, I'm chuffed to report there's another letterboxing scene in the UK strong enough to warrant its own book. Lundy Letterboxes by Alan Rowland, a must-have for any boxing enthusiast. But I ain't gonna spend any time on it, because I've said it all before in the Lundy video. Looking even further afield, letterboxing has taken root in the US, which is often attributed to the article printed in the Smithsonian magazine by Chris Granstrom in 1998. It's also seen a very handy book produced called The Letterboxer's Companion by Randy Hall, who in the North American letterboxing scene goes by the name of Map Surfer, as well as many other blogs, presentations and guides, including quite recently a mini zine by another North American letterboxer who goes by the name of Maple Treeway, which is free to download if interested. I'm thrilled that letterboxing's gone global, but that's not something I know much about. So when a chance to learn a little more from an actual US boxer came up, I wasn't going to let it pass by. In March of this year, a chap named Matthew Stein, who in the game of letterboxing goes by the name of Mu, introduced himself in the Dartmoor letterboxing Facebook group and said he was visiting Dartmoor as research for a book on the history and culture of North American letterboxing. He added he has over 20 years of boxing experience and more than 6,000 stamps to show for it. Heck, a chance like this doesn't come round often, so when he was looking for a place to stay, I offered him a room at ours. A little later, Matthew arrived and was keen to get on Dartmoor to find treasure from the home of letterboxing and get a feel for our way of doing things. I recommended seeking a variety of boxes to take in the different approaches, but suggested prioritising the Cranmere Pool, Ducks Pool and Furtor stamps, with them arguably being Dartmoor's main 3 must-haves. Matthew did well finding all 3, as well as enough stamps to join the 100 Club at the spring meet, meaning he was one happy bunny, or cow. And in the evenings, and on my days off, I got to pick Matthew's brains about the US scene, and learnt he's not only an extremely talented hand carver, but also a very handy fiddle player. He also let me shove the camera in his face, and this is how that went. So there's 1 or 2 people doing a bit of letterboxing in the States then?
Just a few. Since 1998, when letterboxing kicked off in the US, with the publication of the Smithsonian article on Dartmoor letterboxing, there have grown to be tens of thousands of letterboxes at any given time, and right now it's hard to say exactly how many, as I imagine is the case here as well. It's spread all throughout the country, so it's very different in different scenes. I think this is maybe one of the key differentiating traits between US letterboxing and Dartmoor letterboxing. For us, it very quickly grew to fill its container, which was the entire country, and different scenes grew to have different traditions and different styles.
How do you all communicate and keep in touch and share clues?
Yeah, in the early days, well, letterboxing in the US grew up in the age of the internet. It was a bit more tech savvy and took on a few different traits because of that. So in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were sharing clues on message boards, on Yahoo groups, on their own personal websites. Then by the mid-2000s, we had a centralized website, letterboxing.org or LBNA. And then a few years later, we had another website, Atlas Quest. And Atlas Quest is sort of the one main website that people use now. That might be a bit of a divisive statement to say because there's still some diehard LBNA users.
So you've spent a bit of time going out in Dartmoor now. How does the Dartmoor letterboxing scene compare to the American letterboxing scene?
Yeah. In both branches of the hobby, the focus really is on the journey. And I think this is, for us in the US, largely how we contrast ourselves from geocaching. For us, we're designing a journey. It's about how you get there, not just what's there at the end. But here, the journey continues to be maybe a step up in difficulty. It's not so clear cut as sort of the average letterbox you might find in the US, where you're following a set of directions. It tells you exactly how to get from the car park to the letterbox. And of course, we have plenty of boxes that are far more difficult than that are on strenuous hikes or have challenging clues, whether it's something to solve at home or in the field. But here, just the basic compass triangulation, knowing landmarks, knowing how to use topographical maps, there's quite a learning curve to figuring out just how to find any given box. There's also a sense of place. Letterboxing is a thing you do in Dartmoor. So, whereas in the US, letterboxing is a vocabulary for site-specific exploration that you can kind of apply to anything, anywhere. Here, as I've been kind of surprised that there are no letterboxes in Plymouth currently. There are no letterboxes in various places that a US letterboxer's mentality would immediately hide boxes because those are cool places to go. Here, and I have so much admiration for this, you go to Dartmoor, so letterboxing is an excuse to go to Dartmoor.
Can you tell me a bit about what you're working on?
Yes. So I'm currently working on a book about letterboxing, the history, the culture, all the wonderful adventure stories. It's a bit of a capstone to my time in letterboxing so far. 20 years of quests, of adventures, of meeting so many incredible people and trading stories with them. And it's also trying to capture some of these stories before they go away. In the US, here as well, I know many letterboxers are getting older, are not able to hit the trails anymore, or just have kids, or are falling out of the hobby for various other reasons. And there's so much incredible history. There's so many incredible memories that people have made here. and ways of just interacting with the world around them through a lens of wonder and openness and a sense of adventure that I really think we could use much more of in the world. So since there's such a high concentration of that in letterboxing, I'm trying to capture not just the what of letterboxing, but the who and the why as well. Really this sense of purpose and letterboxing as a mentality more than just a thing that we do. So I'm working on a book, which is a full-length book that I hope to responsibly share broadly, both within and outside of the letterboxing community. And then I'm also working on a few other related projects, trying to capture, archive more of these amazing stories. So I'm revamping Letterpod, a letterboxing podcast that a US letterboxer by the name of Jack Bear ran in the late 2000s, early 2010s, that has been dormant for a long time. I was able to, with Jack Bear's help, get many of the old episodes that weren't online for over a decade, and those are all available on YouTube now, on a new YouTube account. I hope to use that YouTube channel as sort of a public accessible archive as well. So anyone who might have past videos, talks they gave, video footage from past letterboxing events, anything of that sort, I'm hoping to include on that.
For anyone wanting to follow your progress and hear the latest on the book, where's the best place for people to keep up to date with all your shenanigans?
Yeah, so it'll still be a little while until the book is out, but you can find all of my stuff on my website, imakepuzzles.com. I'm also a puzzle designer, which I largely got into through letterboxing. I link to my Instagram, Enigmita, and my newsletter on Substack currently from my website, so in both of those places I'll be including behind-the-scenes excerpts, all sorts of fun stuff, as well as the YouTube channel at Letterboxing.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for letting me interview you, coming all
Thank
this
you.
way. Good to meet you. Thanks, Matthew. I find it really interesting to hear about boxing in North America, and I'm really looking forward to your book. So good luck with it, and don't be a stranger. Well, only one thing left to do now. You should really know how this goes.
Tidy. See you later, boyos.
He's flying!
He's flying in the air. He's soaring in the Dartmoor mist. The people down below are boxing as he is.
Ah, that was silly. But there's nothing silly about this box. Nope, Matthew carved a banger to unite our UK and US scenes. It's called the Intercontinental Snowdon Selfie. Clue in the next update in 2027 catalogue. Happy trails, y'all!